In this lesson, we'll learn about different post formats and go ahead and publish our first post. So before we publish our post, I want to talk a little bit about the different format options we have available to us for our posts. You can see it's set right now to the standard format, which if we preview this, I'm going to go ahead and do that. We have just what we've seen so far. We have a large heading and then that standard kind of format. So if we switch this, say I want to add a quote here, let's see how this actually changes that format. So I'm just going to preview this once again. And as this loads, you can see our title is now completely different. It's center aligned and it's smaller, and it's also added a dark background. So different themes actually support this in different ways. So depending on what theme you've chosen, your formatting is going to be a little bit different. Some add little quotation marks around quotes, but different things just to make different kinds of content to stand out. And not every theme supports this, so if you want the ability to have different kinds of visual styling for different content, then I'm going to switch over here to our themes page. Under appearance here, you'll just want to come over here to tags and make sure you have the option to add post formats. So I'm going to switch over here and I'm going to leave this at the standard format. And now we can come up here and start to publish our post. But before we do so, we have a couple different options here in this publish section. And the first two things we can do, we can save it as a draft, which we've done before, and previewing, which we've also done a fair amount so far. But the status down here is where it starts to get interesting. You can see it's set to draft, but if we want to edit this, we can actually change it from a draft to something called pending review. And this isn't really going to come into play for you if you're the only one using your blog, but sometimes on bigger blogs, maybe it's like a news site or something like that, and you have multiple authors, you can set this to pending review so someone could take a look at it before that content gets published. So if you have something like that, maybe if you add multiple users to your blog over here in this users option, then maybe that would be an option for you. But since I'm the only one creating my blog, I'm just going to leave that at draft and set OK. For visibility, the default is going to be public, meaning everyone can see your post when it's published. But if you only want specific people to see it, you can come down here and edit this. You can set it to where it's password protected, and you can set it to private, meaning only you and who you choose can see this post. So that's pretty interesting that we have the ability to set that visibility to multiple things. We also have the option to stick it to the front page, meaning it's always going to be there on the front page of our blog. So I'm going to press OK here. And the next thing we could do is look at different revisions of our post. So if I click here to browse this, it's going to take us to a different screen. And we have two different versions of our post here pulled up. On the right, we have our most recent version, and on the left, we have the most recent version right before we made our last change. And as we scroll through this, we can actually see the changes we've made. So I had this image here set to a medium size, and it'll highlight the changes and the section that we've actually made. So you can see I changed that image to be a large size in my most current version, and everything else looks like it's the same. And you're not limited to just your most recent two versions. This slider here will actually help you go back in time. So as I'm dragging this, we can see the changes that we've made every time we've revised our post and saved it as a draft. So that's really, really cool that we have the ability to do this. We have the very start where we have just a blank post, and then we can see it's all green where we added all of our content. And as I drag this one over, we can see where we added our subheadings and so on and so forth. And one of the last options we have in here is to compare two different versions of a post. So maybe you want to compare your first version with your last version. You can drag the slider to be that first and that last version, and then you can compare the changes below. So I'm going to go back to the post editor. I don't need to check out the different revisions we've made. And the last two options, we can publish it on a specific date, which if you click edit this, if it's already published, you can make it look like it was published on a different date. So maybe I want it to look like I published this in February. I can actually come down here and even change the hour that it looks like it was published. And I can also schedule it for a future date if I want to publish this in October or something like that. So I'm going to leave it on the default date and press OK. And then the last option we have here is to publicize our post on social media, which is a great option because the first people that are going to be likely to read your blog are going to be the people who know you because they already are familiar with you. They're more engaged with who you are as a person. So those are going to be the people who want to read your content, at least compared to strangers. So if you're comfortable doing so, I really recommend publicizing your content on different social media outlets wherever you're comfortable doing so. So for example, if you want to share with your friends on Facebook, if you connect your Facebook account, you can schedule a post. It'll be sent to Facebook advertising your most recent post. So I'm going to leave that alone and hide that. And the last step we have here is to actually go ahead and publish our content. So I'm going to make sure I'm not on quote still and change that format back to standard and go ahead and publish what we've just made. And you'll get a preview of how it looks on your blog. And as you're starting in WordPress, you'll get some of these little helper messages on the side. It'll give you a little message saying your congratulations. And you can see it's saying our second post because I added another post between lessons. So we have more things to look at on our blog. But right below here, we can edit our post. We can add another post. And down here, we can see what tags we have. We can add additional tags that they suggest to help people find your post. And you could also see similar tags and see what other people are writing about similar to you. So this is all really cool that we have some of these helper little things here on the side, which I'm going to exit out of that. And now that we have our post published, I'm going to come back here to edit this. And in our next lesson, I want to go over how to customize this area to make it more useful and helpful for you and how you write your own content.